Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler, and today is episode 52, the future of the timeshare industry. So what I'm going to talk about here is the timeshare companies have recurring revenue, so that sets them apart, and they're consolidating right now, so I'll go through that. And then the new competition, which many of you are aware of, the Airbnb. And then timeshare companies are expanding and integrating and adding new capabilities. And then I'm going to go through what I view the timeshare industry will look like in 10 years. And lastly, I'll cover what this means for consumers. Before I dive into those details, I'll tell you a little bit about my channel. I'll be right back to go into the details. Hi, my name is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. The purpose of this channel is to provide education and knowledge for those interested in timeshares. I've been a timeshare owner for over 15 years. I'm an elite owner with Marriott Vacation Club, Hilton Grand Vacations, and WorldMark by Wyndham. I've also posted over 70 timeshare video reviews of different locations, and I've posted 40 timeshare video tips. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button below, and I can be found at Timeshare Trav on Twitter and Facebook, and my website is www.timesharetraveler.com. Let me dive a little bit into the timeshares and recurring revenue. So that the maintenance fees that we pay are the recurring revenue for the customer, and for me that allows me to stay at properties for less than I would if I were renting them without the ownership piece. But for the maintenance fees for the company, that means they have a continuous revenue stream, so they have less up and down ticks based on economy and things like that. And hotel demand fluctuates much more. You know, if the economy is down, less people travel, but owners tend to travel the same. It's more of an ongoing revenue stream. Purchase revenue, however, on the timeshares does fluctuate with demand and economy, and during COVID there was a lot of COVID specials, so you could get better deals and price rollbacks to even 5 years before. So you do see the pricing change on that. The other last thing to make is the hotel companies that own the timeshares before, they pretty much all spun them out as separate companies, but the shareholders made a ton of money. So the whole expansion of the travel industry beyond hotels to more of an ownership based ultimately ended up the hotel companies making a ton of money. So let me jump to the next topic. Well, now what's happening now is timeshares are consolidating. Marriott Vacation Club buys Vistana, which is Sheraton, Hyatt, and Westin timeshares. Hilton Grand Vacations buys Diamond International. Wyndham buys WorldMark and Shell, and then they did Travel and Leisure as well. It's more on the services side. And it seems like, and I'm sure there are exceptions, but mostly all the major timeshare companies have hotel counterparts, and they integrate their programs as one of their perks. But it seems to be that what initially timeshares were sometimes independent companies completely unrelated to the hotel business, it feels like they've been consolidated back into that, and we're seeing even further consolidation in the industry. And I see that trend continuing. I suspect that we'll see a lot of the smaller independent timeshare companies get swallowed up by one of the big players. Okay, let me talk now a little bit about Airbnb. I call it the new competition. And then again, timeshares actually were new competition for hotels when they first started. So just the Airbnb is a custom home rented through a single application that you can, and there's a company, Airbnb. The expansion is slowing because markets are getting saturated and regulations are coming. For example, I have a house in a HOA, and they've modified their homeowners association not to allow you to do short-term rentals. And a lot of cities, like the city of Napa, California, now has restrictions. You have to actually have a permit and very specific things, because they're finding that people use them for parties, and if you put a party in the middle of a residential neighborhood on a regular basis, that's not necessarily a plus. And Airbnb now is a public company, and so they're starting to act like a public company, and they're having to sort of cull some of their owners and make sure that they have standards now. So we're starting to see again sort of the behavior starting to look a little bit more like timeshares and hotels and stuff like that, even though it's still a loose conglomeration of individual owners renting out their units. Meanwhile, timeshare companies are not just standing by. They're expanding and integrating. They continue to add locations. My favorite one I want to get to is Hilton just added Maui. They're actually also adding Airbnb capabilities. You now can, in Marriott hotels, you can actually rent homes, and they're now, Club Wyndham is also starting to have house properties and villas of distinction. I think it's a Hilton capability where you can rent houses in Europe. So a lot of the features that you see unique to Airbnb are starting to creep into the timeshare industry. Again, Travel and Leisure bought by Wyndham. That's a service, and that allows you to do equivalent to Booking.com, and you can use now points to be transferred directly through your timeshare points can be used for things like that. And they are creating common platforms. So when Vistana was bought by Marriott, there was an integration of their platforms and makes it larger and easier to work across different companies. The current situation is all timeshares have links to entertainment. You can book cruises. You mentioned before, you can book hotels. And status with timeshare gives you status with hotels. So that's one of the perks I really like, because now I'm treated as an owner and of a timeshare, and that gives me perks like free breakfast and stuff like that, even at hotels that don't offer breakfast as part of the package. All right, now it's time to talk about my view of the future of timeshares. And this is a fairly high level. They all have the traditional timeshares. I don't think that's going to go away. The ability to rent homes, I sort of alluded to that in the Airbnb. I think cruise lines will be owned by hotel/timeshares. I think there'll be some merger in the industry. I think we're looking at travel overall, not just timeshares or hotels or cruises. There's all separate. I think that'll happen. And I think Airbnb will be like Netflix of travel. You'll have Netflix, which is just a streaming service. I shouldn't say just, it does more than that, but simplified. But then you have people like Amazon, who has a huge business, and Apple that sells iPhones, but they're also in the business of that. So you might have the standalone Airbnb, but you'll have all the timeshare companies with their versions of Airbnb. So the market will be more competitive, and ultimately I think the standards will improve, and there'll be more consistency across brands, because that's what they'll be competing on. They'll be competing on the best service. So that's my view of is that we're going to have a better service experience, maybe higher cost. I'm not sure. But let me wrap up by talking about the customer experience that I think we'll see over the next 10 years. Okay, what's in it for me? Or what's happening to us, maybe. Timeshare companies will add features. They're doing that now, and consumers will have to pay to upgrade. I swear, it feels like a timeshare. I bought a timeshare, and now I'm not sure if I bought a phone, a smartphone or not, because it feels like you have to buy like HGV Max, which is Hilton Grand Vacations, is rumored to cost $7,000 to upgrade. Unless you do an upgrade and add some points, then the upgrade is thrown in. I actually was in a presentation, and I did an upgrade because it was good for me from a maintenance perspective. And I have a document that says when the Marriott Vistana merger happens, I don't have to pay the fee, which implies that there is going to be a fee. And I think that's going to become the norm. It's going to be kind of like the whole model of smartphones is going to permeate, and cars are the same thing. When do you want to, will you want to upgrade your car when the new feature comes out? It seems to be that's what the American business is driven to. Maybe world business is driven that way. So I think that's what we're going to see as consumers, and we can complain about it, we can do whatever, but the reality is that seems to be the way the overall business world runs right now. And again, I think all products do that. Even Amazon Prime adds new features and they start charging more, or they charge more as prices go up. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little talk here on the future of timeshare industry, and I hope you subscribe to my channel, because I have lots of good content that I try to provide, and this helps me. The subscriptions help me with creating that content.